This is our new battery system. So we got rid of his drop-in batteries, which were collapsing under demand. There you go. That's a lot better than what we started with yesterday, isn't it? Looks professional and fitted, at least.
The relationship with Dave Campbell has been very transparent and professional. Their technicians are probably some of the best that I've ever seen in the world.
So this is a Leopard 48, come over from the States. It's got 110 systems on it, and generally the owners come to us with all sorts of problems, shutdowns, DC shutdowns, AC shutdowns, various things that he doesn't really understand, and he's just asked us to take a look. He stepped on board yesterday and we've poked our heads in holes, we've done some tests, and there's some quite interesting things to see. Right, so one of the problems is when this guy runs his air conditioning, the full systems are old in terms of older generation, and they require, with full inverted power, probably about peaking around 400 amps, I think, which continuous. It has had a lithium battery upgrade, so it should be able to provide that kind of power. So unfortunately, whoever did this has fitted drop-in batteries, which are good, depending what their application is. Unfortunately, these guys have got a maximum continuous delivery of power of 70 amps. So he's got 4 180 amp hour batteries. So that gives us a continuous delivery of 280 amps now. Yeah. So we have a continuous delivery of 280 amps. Before the BMS cuts in and shuts the batteries down, or each individual battery will cumulatively shut down. And that's what's happening. So we're running up the air conditioning, batteries are basically disconnecting. We're not losing full DC because we've got a big solar rig of over nearly 3,000 watts on here, and that's maintaining a level of 12 volt DC. So we still have lights, so it was a bit confusing for the owner as he wasn't losing everything, but we proved it yesterday. So here's our batteries. So these units are 180 amp hours, I say drop-in batteries with unfortunately not equal length cables is what we can see, so we're going to take these out and replace with a BMS supported system. Alright.
You ready now?
103, 104 have been taken out. We've got a connector block here. They've been brought around to these switches, so you've got shore 1, shore 2. Okay, it's missing, but also it's 108.
Right, 107.
We don't need a VHF. Let's touch the network for that. The only thing we'll need to worry about is sort of radar and wind, I suppose. I think in that well though, I think it will fit quite happily. Yeah. I think that's big enough though.
You've only got, 350.
This in, and we're going to need to adjust some of these areas These pumps are slightly different to the original 110 pumps, so we need to move things around a little bit. And it all runs per unit about 3 amps at 230 volts, so much more economic and much less stress on the Jenny, and inverting power can be a lot more efficient. I think we're going to unclip all these cables, remove this box, all of which we're going to have to rehouse. And hopefully clip these cables just back here, pull the pump back so that the raw water filter lines up with the intake, and then we're going to have to drill a new hole, moving this pump back out here. He's asked me to replace this pipe, so I'll get this off anyway. Okay. If we can remove this completely, we can pretty much put these two back to back, I think, with a piece long enough to suit. It's literally just absolutely solid. I need to drill a new hole for the out pipe, which will basically bring this one in, and we'll attach him straight to that. Yeah, I think between water makers, air conditioning systems, various other cooling systems for engines, pumps, battery systems with glycol cooling systems, so basically we're plumbers.
Yeah.
There. So I'm going to take that pipe, I want it to be about that, so we're going to pop that to there. This is why it's such a difficult hose, because it's steel reinforced, basically. It's the exhaust pipe. This is the original boat system, so where this has been crushed before, that's why it's so difficult to get on a new barb. So we cut this down, hopefully with a bit of lube, it might be a bit easier to get on our new pump. Straight line direct from the filter into the pump, double clipped, below the water line, through the pump, double clipped out, and then off it goes. So hopefully we'll have no HP issues and happy air conditioning. Alright, I just need to fix the pump now and then reinstate the generator feed, which we moved, to let this guy in. Open the seacock, which is the aircon salt water, this one here. That's our supply to our filter. So we have supply, so most importantly first, it's about checking that there's no leaks. Check our system, so here's our input, here's our thing, and there is a leak. So I didn't expect that. Initially it's like obvious big drips like that, where it's actually dripping, and after that it's kind of dry your hands and you run your fingers underneath, you can see like a wet residue on there or not. That's good now, thank God. There's no drips coming out there as well, which isn't. So there's a bleed valve just here, if you can see it. I'm going to open that so I can basically let any air out of the system up to this point past the pump. So that's the pump fully installed, new 230 volt system. So let's adjust and move a few things, but it's there solid, straight lines in, no bends, bled and working, and running now. No leaks, we've checked, so that's all good. And the final thing is to reinstate this pipe for the generator, which we pulled back in here. Obviously I've had to adjust this to allow this pump to fit. So I'm just going to cut this back a little bit, have a new piece, cut a new hole and route it around the back of these pumps and secure it as best we can. There you go. That's a lot better than what we started with yesterday, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't know if you weren't here yesterday, were you? Sorry, so you didn't see it, but it was an abomination basically. Looks professional and fitted, at least. So yeah, among other jobs, one of the jobs we did on here was a full navigation upgrade. So we've gone with the B&G system. A lot of this was very old and pretty nasty, to be honest. So we've had one of our companies we work with create a carbon fibre dash, and we've had this CNC cut, and then we just had it all cut and designed. So just 16-inch MFD up here, 3 Tritons, autopilot controller, put back in his stereo. Actually kept part of an old Garmin system because it monitors fuel and fuel flow, and also displays electronically tank levels, so that's quite cool. We kept it. Still runs through the N2K system, and given him just a waterproof scan strut, USB charger and USB-C. VHFs here, the main body down below, and we'll go downstairs and just have a quick look at the saloon helm area. This is just the chart table area. So again, down here we just got a 12-inch MFD, a couple of Tritons again, display, and you can page, well, they can page through whatever they want to look through, all the various data. Because we upgraded, they actually had a N2K Windex up top, so we maintained that. We just brought that in on the N2K. I'm not going to open it all up, but we've put a whole backbone system and various distribution points behind here. And I say, obviously, B&G, so you've got radar availability and all that. And if we go back, just to show you, we've got here the Victron system, so we can look at all our power and various stuff. There you go, it's coming online now, so there you go. That's our 110 inverter system, our shore power, what it's doing, our solar and various stuff. Alright, cool. Alright, let's put us to bed. Just an extra, we added a camera. He was always not able to see the port forward side from the helm, so that just allows him to look there. So just without going up there, but we've got a radar we replaced. That's the new radar he's got. And the Windex, as I say, was still, we actually, rather than pull a whole new one through, it was N2K compatible, so we pulled that into our system and maintained it, and basically stuck the Windex that we had back in the credit zone. So that's back in the box. So one extra point, I think, just to bring up. It's an American boat originally, but he's going to be travelling around Europe for the next 4 or 5 years, that's his plan. So everywhere he goes, he wants to be able to plug into European power. And also most of the appliances he's going to buy or use are going to be European. So in every area where we had a 110 socket, we've installed a 240 volt socket. Now we've gone with UK and Euro plugs, and with Vimar we've been able to basically put one of each in each zone. So Hayden, you can have a quick look at that, and we'll show you a couple more around the boat. Another one. This is his original American sockets, and as I say, we just added a Euro socket and a UK socket, matching colours, graphite, and so he had in most areas a 12 volt USB charger as well. Okay, so I don't know if you remember, there was various things in here. So this is our new system. I'll talk through it. Our battery system comes in through the top here, okay? Comes through our NG, our BMS, and then it's distributed through these various points. They're all labelled through. We've done designs and drawings for the owner so he can reference this as well. And obviously the full length of this NG and link system was a bit long. We couldn't quite fit everything we needed in, so we've added the final distribution here on a pair of 95s through, and we've got like the port alternator, the starboard alternator, the build systems, and additional solar coming on that. All right. There we go. So let's see this guy here. This is our 230 volt charging and European switch over system, I guess. So everything in Europe we're going to plug into this. This is going to be able to charge our batteries, to switch power through and invert power when he's offshore, or generally not plugged in. We've got quite a bit of solar, so this is the whole solar system. This is actually original. We didn't do this, we tidied it up a little bit, but it's got 5 panels up top and then another array at the back, which is this 30. So we've just, as I say, tidied it up and actually upgraded this one from the old MPPT. It wasn't a Victron before. Point to mention here is this Quattro. It's kind of a standalone. We had to make a decision between which invert system is going to go on our Turbo GX and be displayed through our touchscreen. Okay, obviously we can't have a 110 and a 230 system displayed on the same system because they'll be in conflict. So this guy is standalone. It has its controller. It's commissioned to lithium settings, and basically it has external control from BMS. So this is our ATC and ACD junction box, which will control various functions, but do we get either of those signals from the BMS, the Victron cables go into the auxiliary contacts on here, and this will shut down. Okay, so that's quite an important function to know, and obviously there's assistance to be programmed into that to make that work. And if you remember what a mess this was when we came in, we had all this power for the boat basically coming through a single cable this size. And they were like 170mm, so that's all been changed and upgraded, but it was quite surprising to see. That's how it came from America. Part of the reason why it just kept shutting down was because the internal battery management of those batteries they had just couldn't handle the power. So we'll go across and look at the other inverters, and we're still using them, and we've integrated them to our new system. Okay, so stand here. This is our new battery system. So we got rid of his drop-in batteries, which were collapsing under demand. Okay, and we have 4 300 amp hour NG Victron batteries here. Okay, so equal length cables, all going to the link system we just looked at. Battery management and control through to the BMS through these cables here. And yeah, I think Morgan did a nice job, so there you go, nice and clean. Yeah, so silly stuff, just external, but client wanted his fridge here to be powered, so we put in a scan strut 12-volt socket there for him. This runs through the bedroom off some of the other distribution, and we've got external 240-volt sockets available here, and then again another just a Blue Sea type plug-in for his other fridge if he wants it when he's in harbour. Okay, so again, we never actually installed these systems from the start, but there was quite a few issues with them. They weren't working correctly, they weren't turning on, they weren't assigned as master or slave, so actually they weren't even working. Anyway, we spent a bit of time, again, we tidied up a lot of this, but not reinvented the whole world, so to speak. But he does have Arco Zeus's, and here's the regulators here, and DC-DC chargers to bring power back into the engine batteries. And that's all again covered by the BMS. Okay, so you come in here. So again, it's talking about being able to be in Europe or in America. So we basically took out, because we reduced all of his loads, so his main load would have been his air conditioning system, so that's all gone. We've gone with a new Frigomar air conditioning system, so each unit actually only needs about 3 amps to run. I think 6 at a start-up. And in here we've now got a European plug, and he's still got the American plug system, and then various RCDs, and then he's carried through to the main distribution panels. A point to make there is obviously the 110 and the 240 just have to be completely separate or completely different types of fittings, so there's no danger that they can fit one into the wrong socket basically. All right, it's impossible to make a mistake. So this, as I say, is the original installation, which again we've had to completely, apart from the actual units where they're mounted and various adjustments, it's still there. We had to double feed these 8 meters away. They had a single 50mm cable to each unit, I think, when we got them, and they would shut down with various voltage issues, which obviously there's not enough cross-sectional area to support the inverters. When they're trying to invert power, they just crashed. So we've gone with, I think it's 2 times 70 mils from each bus bar system across. Okay, and they're on the links. And again, these are controlled by the BMS, but these are actually on the VE bus system. So as I said, we had to make a choice between the 110 system or the 240 volt system. So this is the system that's actually displayed, and call it the primary charging system. The generator, we've tapped both 240 and 110 from it, so if we run the Jenny, both systems come live, and the full charging capacity of both systems can go into the battery. So I think we've got around, off the top of my head, around about 400 amps of charge. So we can, in theory, we can fully charge our batteries from empty in 3 hours. Right. So anyway, here's one of the Frigomart air conditioning units, okay? And this basically is a 16,000 BTU, and it's responsible for cooling the starboard areas. Here's our controller, and that cooling is split between the forward cabin and the aft cabin. So yeah, port side air conditioning, we just dealt with the pumps, so that's really running now. Here's the unit itself, okay, and the control. And again, this unit is responsible for the forward and the aft cabin on this side. And if you just take a little look in here, we've got a couple of things, because we introduced the 240 volt system, okay. Basically, what we like to do, if we can, is give redundancy. So if we're in a situation where our inverter fails, because everything runs through our inverter, a shore power and our generator, but in a situation that for whatever reason it just fails, it stops working, we like to install a bypass box. So in this box here, it means we can always leave it in one position, but in the situation that our inverter is not working, we can go direct to generator or direct to shore power. It's just a good way of not leaving people in the middle of the sea just as a dead duck, basically. So as I say, if you look on here, we've got position number 3 is where it always is, and if we need to bypass that or change it, it can go to position 2 or position 1. Final point is within here, our shore power from shore comes directly to this point, and we've got a galvanic isolator at the first point of earth, and that's protecting the boat from any galvanic corrosion. Alright, so this is the main distribution panel, okay. We've done a lot of work here, we've tidied up a lot of the stuff. So things to talk about here is, we said obviously we've got 2 systems, a 240 volt system and a 110 volt system. So our 110 volt system is represented through the Serbo GX and on the touch screen, okay? And this guy here is the control for the 220 system or 230 system, and can be limited for shore power if you want to. Basically, it's not displayed on this area here, but it is controlled by BMS, so if it does have a shutdown or a stop charge in terms of ATC, ATD, it will be turned off, okay? That's the important point of that. As I say, we've got our general battery overall state of charge and amp hour capacity there. Our PV chargers are all present, our DC power. If we turn on our generator or shore power is connected, then we'll have information displayed in the red box. So we did create a 220 panel. We've used Felipe panels here. So we've got basically aircon on this side and sockets on this side, and we've got 3 spares for each system, okay? So if he wants to expand that in the future, there's quite a bit to do so. Generally, his 110 board and his 24 volt board have been adjusted and tidied up really, but pretty much functional wise for the customer, it's as he knew it to be. The only point is the generator selector and shore power selector part of this board is now obsolete. And finally, we've talked about before on the 220 system, redundancy. So what happens if my inverter system fails? Okay, It's not switching power through from shore, turn on the generator, it's not charging batteries, it's not providing power through. So at all times it will be left in position number 3. Should we basically have a failure of our system, we can bypass the inverter system and we can go number 1 for generator, that switches directly through, and number 2 for shore power. And that will convert the actual 230 volts will end up directly and available on this distribution panel. So why have we got this controller and the display? As I say, this is for the 230 volt control inverter for the Quattro we have, and this is for the multis on the 110 system. We can't integrate both on VE bus because they'll conflict and basically shut down. It's just not at this stage the availability to do so. So something on our installations we keep having people asking us to put multiple inverters with different power systems online together, and at this stage we can't integrate them to be fully functional. So we're working towards that, and hopefully we're going to come up with a way with Victron to be able to do that on expanding systems and have everything on one display. One final thing we do have, which we looked at earlier, is our Sobo GX is behind here, and we can, with the UTP cable, take the information out of that through Ethernet and put it into the back of our B&G system, and then we can see everything that's going on. Everything that's displayed here is also on our navigation.
Hi, I'm Andrew DeLav. Welcome to sailing vessel Endless. We sailed over from the United States back in May, and Dave has been helping us with a whole electrical and nav conversion. On the nav system, we were a Garmin system, and due to the change to a subscription-based model, we decided to go with B&G this time, and we retired all of the Garmin navigation components and went over to B&G. The primary requirement was for this American made boat to be able to cruise the Mediterranean and be able to use both 220 power with keeping our existing 110 systems available and online. Dave helped us with increasing our battery capacity, integrating our Arco Zeus alternators as a way to charge the batteries, as well as integrating the 10 panels of solar that we already had existing from our old technology. The relationship that we on Endless have had with B&G has been one of the best experiences I've had in the 20 years that I've owned boats. The relationship with Dave Campbell has been very transparent and professional. Their technicians are probably some of the best that I've ever seen in the world.
If you'd like to see more videos from us, subscribe to our next videos here. If you'd like to see our last videos, subscribe here.